These are like 6 pages, they're outline form, they're quite detailed. But facilities management is really what I do. It's maintaining, operating my building, doing planning, long-range planning, capital projects. Space planning, they look at space utilization. I won't go into that one too much. Project development and construction is also a big one. The architectural development of plans, getting a new building online, going through the design process, making sure it's meeting people's needs, scoping out the program, and then the construction process. Now, these are things like going out to bid, reviewing bid opening, awarding the bid. These are the steps in the process. Having weekly project construction meetings. You also see some tools, and we have a lot of forms we use, and so we attach, well, we have the bid opening form. We have a standard contract that we use with our contractors. And so with each process, it lists a tool that we use, and it lists the people that are involved. So sometimes that's just the project manager, sometimes it's the facility manager and the project manager, sometimes it's the administrative assistant. And so we have those processes and we follow it. So everyone in the organization, the way that I run my buildings is the same way that the church office building runs its building in terms of process. Now our buildings are unique, but the process protects us, so we're always doing things the same way. And then when there's a hiccup and something happens, it's, why did that happen? It's like, well, this is how we do it. This is why it takes this long. This is why we have to have 3 bids, because that's our process, and it says we have to have 3 bids. And that protects the organization. And I've touched on this, that we also measure bids. So in the church, I send out, I don't, the controller does, sends out surveys to my customers. So he asks the administrators at LESBC, how are we doing? And that survey results, those come back, and I'm actually rated my performance. My annual salary increase is based on that performance. And we will work when we know we're measured on certain things, and those are the right things and they're the important things, then we'll be doing our best that we can at that. We also look at these things. We look at our costs for cleaning, maintenance, and construction. We track that. Depending on the size of your county and your organization, that may be worth doing, that may not be worth doing. You might do it on a very macro level. I assume all of you do that a little bit with your budgets, and you have to keep track of your budget. But if you look at, break it down into some more components, then, and you track that over time, you can see if you're improving or not, being more efficient. We also look at our time. How long does it take to complete buildings? We have dates we set. I'm going to start a project by the 14th. I had money to buy chairs, 600 chairs for the college. I said I'm going to start it by February 14th. If I don't order those chairs by February 14th, I've missed the mark. And so that motivates me to get that purchase order written this week. That's just one example. And here's the performance scorecard. Again, you have it in your packet, so I won't go through it. But it shows the things that I measured on in my job. And it's weighted, so you can see what's most important. So I'm weighted heavily on my manager. He has a lot of leeway in how I'm performing. But customer surveys, whether I'm meeting those target dates or not, I'm evaluated on that. And so that helps me perform because I know that's what's important. Capital needs analysis is something that BYU pioneered in the 80s, and it's a whole other seminar, I won't go into it, but it's a way of looking at things strategically. Everything that we have in the church is inventoried. I can look up any room in my building, and you can do this on a building level if you don't want to do it on a room level, but we know what assets, we know what furniture is in the building, we know how many lights are in the building, I know how many square feet of carpet's in the building, and we have a life cycle and a replacement cost for that carpet. So I know that in 10 years I'm going to need to spend $10,000 to replace carpet on 2 floors, for example. And we track that in a database so that we can understand that I need that kind of money later on. And the reason BYU did this is that some years they needed $12 million, and other years they needed $4 million, and other years they needed $30 million. Just rough, I have no idea if those were good numbers. But the church was saying, well, how much do we need to give you? We've got to fund BYU maintenance, and how much do we send? And so capital needs analysis helped level out those peaks and valleys. So in years that you don't need as much, you're saving that money and putting it toward another year when you need more. This is probably something you've already done and thought of to some degree. But you can really get detailed with this and put it in a computer program and project it and all of that. Again, it's just a way of thinking strategically of our long-range needs. Even if you do it for the next 3 or 5 years, what are those needs? Plan out how much money you will be needing. And they do it in 3 categories. And so every project we do, it's either we're replacing an existing component, and that's easy to get funding for. We have carpet that wears out in 15 years, we need to replace it. That's not a hard sell, but improvements sometimes are. I need to totally redo this room and make a nice conference room, or I need to do a whole new midway at the fair park or something. Those are projects that take a lot more of a sales job. Retrofitting, you can demonstrate that I save costs. If I change out the lighting in this building, or I change into a better, more efficient cooling system, we're not replacing the whole thing, but we're adding something to it to retrofit it to make it more effective for long range. So if you show long range savings, long range value to your managers, and that will help. In conclusion, I want to talk about a few trends in facility management. These are white papers that I got through IFMA. You can purchase them on the IFMA website. And again, these are people who are doing doctorate degrees and really doing a lot of research, and so it can get these. But briefly, they illustrate a few things that are happening in facility management. I think in the public sector, we probably aren't as progressive. The church isn't even as progressive as the corporate world is. They're always trying to be way more efficient and save money. But we still want to save money. We still want to be more effective no matter where we work. But sometimes we have to be salespeople in our jobs. We have to help people understand why we're important. For the very least, just to keep our jobs, right? That we're doing a good job, that we're saving money, that we can't operate without us. And so here's some trends. You need to show how you're relevant. This is the conversations you have on a daily basis, either with the public you serve or with administrators that you work with. How you're relevant. The services that you provide and that we all share in. And you have to be able to meet changing needs. If you have a new building being built, or a new directive from government, a new law in place, you've got to be adaptive and change to meet those needs. You have to speak the right language. A lot of this gets at the corporate suite. Most of us don't sit on those kinds of boards. I certainly don't. But if you have a CFO, a CIO, CEO, those sorts of people, you need to be able to speak their language. When you're managing an entire county, they're looking at the whole bottom line, not just facilities, but everything they do. You need to be able to speak to them and help them understand the value you add and the language that they speak. And then building the future of FM, both within ourselves and others. You may have employees under you that you need to train. Someday you may be gone, and they may be the next best available candidate. As we talked about earlier, a lot of us kind of ended up in dealing with facilities. We didn't have it as a goal. But now that you're there, you need to be doing it effectively. And then when you're gone, who's going to come in after you? So make sure that you share knowledge and help others understand what you do so that they can build upon that once you leave your position. This comparison chart just shows things from the past. We're very tactical, we react. We were expected to know everything. A lot of you might be in a small enough organization that you do know everything, and you can know everything. My buildings are too big. I have 4-stage evaporative cooling systems. I kind of know that. I don't know the details about how to maintain it. We have lots of experts, thankfully, in my department that can do that, and I'm sure you do too. But you can't know everything. So what we need to be doing now is being more strategic, focusing on what we do and how we do it, knowing who to call if there's a problem. Now, you may be the best person to call, and you may know exactly what to do, and that's great. You provide a great service. But it's knowing, well, this is a little bit beyond my scope. I need to call in someone else to help with this, or I need to go get more information. It's knowing how to be strategic in all that we do. Are there any quick questions or answers? Just have a minute or two. Yes.
I just wondered, in the church, they use a lot of free help. How do you manage free help? Technically, in the church, your job in the beginning was free help. How do you distinguish that and do it separately?
Yeah, in managing all the meeting houses throughout the country, that is, we rely upon volunteer help. And that saves a lot of money. That's hard. It takes training. It's still getting people on board to why we do it. It's meeting with leaders in local areas and explaining the program. It's a process. And some of them say, oh, we'll pay more tithing and we'll just pay more money and the church can do it because we don't want to do it. Well, then they're missing the vision. It's like, no, we want this investment in our buildings. We want people to help do that. So it's just a management of expectations. And the headquarters, thankfully, everything they're all hired. It's not free help. Those are expected to be kept at a level where volunteerism doesn't help as much, other than like the conference center. After a major event, they do have groups come in and clean that and help out with the cleaning. Roughly, there's always detailed things we have to do professionally.
The other thing that happens is there's liability with that when you get free help.
There is. So there's certain things we let people do and certain things we don't. We still post processes of how you clean, what chemicals you can use and can't, have MSDS sheets available. We still have to maintain safety for those people. Anything else? I appreciate, oh, yes.
Sorry, last question. I'm going to kind of follow up on his question a little bit here. I manage the fairgrounds and we have inmate health, which is also free health.
Great.
And one problem we've had in years past, and I hope we've got it solved, is the chemicals. You know, they can't read, well, I should say they can't, they won't read the label, they won't read instructions. So we've tried to kind of dumb down our chemicals in a way, so we have fewer available, they're non-toxic, all we can do. But when I go to help clean the chapel, I love that there is just like a cleaner. How do you choose that, and what is it, and where do I buy it?
Get with me after I connect you. That it's, I mean, they're commercial chemicals, but they may just not be labeled specifically. But it's all proxy based, so they're very safe. They're not acidic. Those are things you have to look at safety and dumbing it down is fine as long as people know you need goggles and you need gloves. You've protected them. If you want more information, you've got it here, but I'm not going to go into that detail with them.
On the flip side of what he's just saying, I've seen church members go in and clean toilets with pledge. That's not going to get it going. It's going to make it nice and slick. Not going to clean.
Never tried that. Training, you know, you have to educate people because no one's going to know as much as we do or be aware of those issues. And so as you do your jobs, people come to you and expect you to know these things. And if we don't know them, we need to find out. That's the resource that we are. So I hope that you can see through all this that you have a lot of ability in your positions to make a difference, to make buildings be effective, to serve customers' needs, and to save money, and to do it better. And as you do that, I know that people will appreciate what you do, and you can feel a lot of value in your role in facility management. Thank you for your time today.